Hello, YouTube. This is Mac. I'm back. Thank you for taking the time to visit my channel again to see what's going on with me. Hit subscribe, like, please comment if you got any questions or anything or just any advice that you might have. And if you find it helpful at all, please share it. So today I started week 5 of my transformation, where I'm working out and trying to get my health in check. And so today is week 5, week 5, day number 2 of week 5. And so usually after we do the training, I have a conversation with my coach. And so what we were talking about was, some of the things that could be hindering my ability to lose weight. Of course, one of them is I really haven't had a lot of patience, but come to find out, I'm not eating enough. But then there was also another issue with stress, because just out of nowhere in the middle of doing a Facebook Live, I just broke down and I started crying. And so when I started reevaluating myself, I realized that it was actually other weights, not the pound weights, but other weights in life that I was not confronting, I wasn't dealing with. And I just shared a little video, I think it was, maybe a couple of days ago, just talking about dealing with some issues that, relational issues that I believe had and has a major impact on how I hold stress. And not, blaming or accusing anybody. Things in life happen in relationships. The dynamics of relationships change. And just realizing how I process and how I relate to other people. But most importantly, how I relate to myself. So I just was able to identify and pinpoint some things that I was not confronting. A whole lot of different issues, because I'm working out. I'm going to the sauna, doing all these things, but I'm not, wasn't losing weight like I felt like I should have. And so it was like, what are the stress factors in your life? What are these toxic things in your life, whether it might be, your own behavior? Are you, toxic? How are you dealing with things? How are you relating to different things? And so, one of my main things, of course, I talked about before, relationship with my dad, then a relationship in my marriage. Then, I have 6 kids, and I have a circle of friends. And so one of the main things I think that was really hurting me was my relationship in my marriage. And even, today I'm thinking and I'm stressing and putting too much energy in trying to fix or try to kind of figure out what I can do differently. Not that you don't do that, but what I can do differently. What can I say? How can I change? And I realized me putting myself under the stress to keep taking the responsibility for things that are beyond me. And what I realized that has been something major in my life, I've always tried to make people like or love me. And it's hurtful when you come to grips and you realize that, you're overcompensating. And the checks and balances, you're always coming out in a negative. And again, it's not always what other people do to you, is what you allow and why you allow and the boundaries that you might not set. And so I did something a few weeks ago talking about self-sabotage in relationships. And I found that I was doing the same thing again, and just settling or, willing to settle. And not that, my husband was a bad person or anything, not at all, but he wasn't all in or totally in, according to him, he was. But, to me, our moral values were different. It's not like it's the end of the world, but trust is a major factor to me. Honesty is a major factor to me. needing grace and mercy and understanding is a major factor for me. And my husband, he's from New York. And so in some things, he's very, very brutal. And so, you know, where I might need a little bit more sensitivity, it's like if I say don't, you know, go in these areas or whatever else, then sometimes he will have the tendency to barge over in something, you know, or, you know, and not that, you know, in a relationship, but it was just like the different boundaries that I had set, different areas in my life where maybe I was hurt and I needed a little bit of grace. It's just like we didn't have an understanding, or we weren't allowing each other to have grace. And so today, you know, I'm thinking about, in my mind, I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, maybe if I pray more, maybe if I fast, maybe if I don't talk, maybe, you know, I do all the changing. If I fast 21 days, if I read this book, maybe I need to pray a little bit more for him. Maybe I need to be a little bit more flexible. And then in the end, I'm putting all this stress on me that I don't really believe he wants to meet me in the middle, you know, and just, you know, coming to terms with, you know what, no, I don't want things to, you know, and then I felt guilty. Then I feel a little bit of shame, condemning myself. And it's like, I've done everything that I know to do. And just wrestling with myself. Keep, are you sure? You know, is this what you really want to do? And being just indecisive, being very indecisive with what steps I need to take. And, you know, sometimes not wanting to make that decision. So I'm sweeping it under the rug. You know, I'm sweeping things under the rug and hoping that maybe things are going to go away, or issues or things are going to go away. And I realize, you know, trying to communicate and talk about things, he's not willing, you know. Life is too short. And that was a song a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago. Being maybe in my 20s or late teen years. It was a song, I think it was Bonnie Raitt, you know, and I can't make you love me if you don't. And to everybody, you know, love might mean something different. But in a relationship, it's like, you know, I need you to understand how I love, and my understanding my motives, my intentions, and my heart for you. And if that's always questioned, and then I'm always putting myself in a place to where I have to keep working, and I'm overworking, trying to convince you, trying to persuade you, man, it was a lot of work. And then I'm constantly questioning, what are your intentions for me? And so, you know, and always trying again, and end up back in that same place. And so I don't blame anybody. You know, I blame, you know, myself for maybe not coming to terms with things sooner. You know, it takes more than just maybe having the same last name or dwelling in the same, you know, building or in the same place. And coming to terms that, you know, not really even sure. And I mean, from the maybe the first 2, 3, 6 months that we got married, you know, I started beginning to wonder, man, this, you know, the love that I thought we had, you know, in Christ, love suffers long, love, you know, and we were in agreement with that. And just seemed like, you know, I started questioning if he really loved me, you know, if he really understood me, if he really even cared about what I felt and what I thought. And so when we first got married, or when we first got together, man, he was my best friend. And so part of me hurts now, because it's like, you never want to give up on anybody. You don't want to give up on a marriage. But then I spent most of my life trying to pour into leaky or broken things. And I got spent physically, mentally, and emotionally. And it's like, you know, in one relationship, my second marriage, I was in a marriage and I felt like I had fallen overboard, or like we were on this cruise ship or something, and I got knocked overboard. It was like you just sitting there watching me just drown, and like you were okay with it. And so it's like, now it's like, you know, I almost feel like the same way. Not that I'm extra needy, because I guess I'm considered an empath or whatever you want to call it. It's like, I'm a server, I'm a giver. So I will exhaust myself trying to make sure you're okay, even in friendships, to where I will, take the back seat and put you in the front, never really required anything. And so then in the end, I'm kind of left lacking and wanting. And it is not about somebody always giving and pouring. I just see that the value is different. How that things have changed. The dynamics, the way he thinks and the way he feels and how he perceive things. It's like we're like night and day now. And we're, opposite attracts, and, one might have a strength here and another one have a strength here, and you bring the, things together and you balance each other out. Man, I felt like my husband couldn't stand me. I couldn't say anything right. I couldn't do anything right. And I can't say that the good outweighed the bad. I was just constantly questioning, man, what does this mean? Always confused, not really understanding. I like conversation. I like to talk. And if I say I don't want it, I don't want it. I don't have to think about it. And so, just having to deal with that now, really realizing we got to do something different. And so when we were talking about the weight at the gym, it was like, once I was able to acknowledge and identify that, my marriage is not working. This relationship is hurting me, and I feel like I'm not making you happy, and being okay with the fact that it's time to let it go. It's time to let things go. Doesn't mean, because I love him a lot. I love him a lot, and my love for him and my commitment for him didn't change because he changed. It's like, I don't like some of the things you do, maybe how you treat me. I want to be loved. I want to be honored. I want to be respected. I might not like some of the acts, but the person, man, I love him just as much today as I did then. And so that was the reason why, maybe I'm a little bit more accommodating and lenient. Is that a word? I don't know. Than he is. And so it's hurtful, because like I said, this man was my best friend. I mean, this was like my boo. We had so many things in common, and I could talk to him and he could talk to me and he would listen. And it wasn't too much that he wouldn't do for me. Then we started having issues like, because we're a blended family. He has 6 kids. I have 6 kids. And I really don't know where it came in. It just always felt like I was putting my kids before him or whatever. And I feel like, when you're in a marriage and you come in, and I'm going to love your kids like I love my children. I'm not going to do anything to disrespect your children, because I want, I'm not going to disrespect my own children. I'm going to encourage your relationship with your children. In fact, I feel like part of my responsibility in your life is to make your life better, to help you nurture your, because you never want to come in between your spouse and their children. No way. You love your spouse. You love their children, so it's just like little things that just started eating away at our relationship. Misunderstandings, miscommunication. And so anyway, I just wanted to share, that I'm just coming to terms that, what, we need to figure out what the next step is going to be. And it's like a relief, but it's still very, very hurtful, because you don't go in thinking that, especially after 4 years, this is not going to work. Man, I just knew without a shadow of a doubt this man was God sent into my life, and that we were going to walk, together hand in hand. And even how we met, how beautiful it was. And, just don't know how we really got here. So I laid in bed the other night and I cried because I just, it's just, especially with everything that has transpired, having to come to terms with it, because I want him happy and I want to be happy. And I realize I'm not happy trying to make you happy, and it seems like I can't. So didn't want to be short, be long, just want to, to kind of share about the weight behind the weight. And that's a, you know, an important factor of any kind of transformation, having to renew your mind and then having to change and having to get things, you know, to be come conducive to what your outcome is. And we were making our relationship toxic, just very, very toxic. It'd be the grace of God. You know, I have always been willing. I just know that in this next phase in my life, you want to be wanted. You want to be loved. You want to be cherished. You want to be valued. You know, it's going to be hard times, but just learning to let go, you know, really to let go and move forward. So, but anyway, just wanted to come on, you know, to kind of share that about where I am, because to acknowledge that'll kind of get me moving forward a little bit more on what I need to do, and you know, be willing to go through the emotional pain and hurt of letting go, because staying and trying to figure it out was literally just like tearing me apart, you know, tearing me apart. So, all right. Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button down below, the little red button right there. Hit like and share it. Please comment. You know, if you got any advice or anything that, you know, give me some encouragement, some feedback. You know, thank you, and see you later.